अस्सलाम वालेकुम एंड वेलकम बैक. So आज हमारा जो P2 का सेशन है, that P2 session will only be running around tracing pseudocodes and correcting errors out of pseudocodes. So this will be only tracing of pseudocode and finding errors in the pseudocode. This is basically chapter 2.2 programming. All right. So we will learn how to trace pseudocode out of, how to remove errors out of pseudocode and how to trace pseudocodes. So this will also be requiring arrays. Okay, so arrays implementation in past papers, I have noticed that the use of array, single dimensional array, is mostly with the pseudocode tracing. Single dimensional arrays are used mostly with the tracing, okay, pseudocode tracing. So let us see what we have covered and what is left out of pseudocode. So let's first see that. So until now we have covered iterative pseudocodes, non-iterative pseudocodes, and today we are going to complete tracing and finding and removing errors in pseudocode, these two parts. I have not highlighted this array yet because today I'm going to make use of this array in finding and removing errors and tracing, and afterwards I will rediscuss these arrays once again, and then I will bind it up the pseudocode. Okay, afterwards only flowcharts will be remain. So let us start. So this is chapter 2.2 programming. So as I said that this will be all about finding and removing errors and basically Walaikum Assalam Asma Imran. So this is May-June 2015. Essentially your syllabus got changed back in 2015. So mostly we will be discussing courses 2015 and onwards. Okay. Read this section of program code that should input 10 positive numbers. First, let's see, input 10 positive numbers and then output the smallest number input. Okay, so let's find errors. How many errors are there? There are 4 errors. There are 4 errors. So let's find all the errors related to initialization are considered as 1. So let's say अगर आपके पास initialization में एक से ज़्यादा errors भी होंगे तो वो एक ही माना जाएगा. All right. So small, as I said, that small must always be 1000. It should be a bigger number. All right. So small should be equal to 1000. All right. Now counter is equal to 0. That is fine. Repeat, that is fine. Input a number. If number is less than small, then number is equal to small. No. This will become then small. This will be here and this will go there. Then small is equal to number. So now it is correct. If number that is entered is yet smaller than small, then small will be the number. Okay, if number is less than small, then small is equal to number. This is now corrected. Counter is equal to counter plus 1. That is fine. But this print should be at the end. This print should be at the end first. So this 7 will go after 8 and it will become 8 itself. Now until counter is less than 10. So since the counter is 0 at the start over here, this is absolutely fine that counter is less than 10 when it works, but as soon as that counter is equal to 10, it should get out. So we have an idea that until works when the condition is true. So if you write counter is less than 10, this condition will never work, because if the condition is true, this might work with while but not with repeat. रिपीट में जब कंडीशन ट्रू होती है तो बाहर निकल आता है, फिर वो लूप में नहीं चलता. It doesn't work inside the loop if the condition is true. So it has to be either greater than or equal to 10 or just equal to 10 or greater than 9, whatever that suits. All right, either this or this or this. But it cannot be less than 10, because less than 10 is true right from the beginning. All right, so these are 1, 2, 3 and 4 changes. So what is the first change? Small should be 1000. Second will be this, small is equal to number. Third one will be this going outside, and fourth one should be this one, greater than or equal to 10. All right, now let's move on. 5 data types and 5 data samples are shown. This is not relevant to the current topic. Explain the difference between a variable and constant that is not. Identify 3 different loop structures that is not related. Now, read this section of the program code and identify errors. May, June 2015, P22, question 2. Now, large is equal to 9999. It can be 9999, but that 9999 must be negative. All right, or it is equal to 0. So anything but not plus 9999. So it might be large is equal to minus 1000. Maybe large is equal to minus 9999, or maybe large is equal to 0, but it cannot be 9999. All right, so any but this. Okay, so this is the first error that we have identified. How many errors are there? There are 4 errors. Okay, now counter is equal to 0, that is fine, while counter is greater than 30. Now we have to read the question. Read this section of program code that should input 30 positive numbers and then output the largest number of all. Okay, so while counter is greater than 30, now you need to know that when the condition is true, while works. So the condition right from the beginning is false, because counter is not greater than 30, counter is less than 30, so this won't work. So it has to be what? While counter is less than 30, not greater than 30. As soon as it becomes equal to 30, it will get out, because we have started counter at 0. If we would have started counter with 1, then we might have put like while counter is equal to 30 or less than or equal to 30, but since they have started from 0, it should be less than 30. Walaikum assalam, Muhammad Sarif. Now, do is optional. I told you do is not an error. So many of the times you would see this do with for, with this do with while, so if you see this do is not an error, that is fine. Okay, so now it is corrected. This is the second error that we have found. Input number, okay, if number is greater than large, then large is equal to number. So this is an error. If number is greater than large, then large is equal to number. This is the third error. Counter is equal to counter minus 1. The counter has to be increased. All right, so this is another error. It has to be counter is equal to counter plus 1. End while and then print. So these are 4 errors that we have found. End while and then print error. Okay, so this is now corrected. Let's go move on forward. Read this section of program code. This is May-June 2015 P22. Question 2. Read this section of program code that should input 50 numbers and then output the average. Now, total is equal to 0. Okay, that is fine. For counter is equal to 1 to 50, it is fine as well. Input number, it is fine. Total is equal to total plus 1. Total is total. Total is not a counter. So this is a mistake. So it has to be total is equal to total plus number. Since we have to actually input 50 numbers and then output the average, so we have to have an average of the total. ठीक हो गया ना? So counter is equal to counter plus 1. We don't need this statement since this statement is basically under for next. For next does the counter itself, so we don't need it at all. So we don't need it. So this is the second error. Average should go outside next. All right, and then next counter. This is another error, and then average should not be total divided by counter. It should be total divided by 50. Why? Because when the loop stops, the counter will not be 50, rather it will be 51, because if it is 50, it will work. If it is 51, then it will get out. So you have to understand that when the for next loop for counter ends, the value of the counter will be 51, not 50. So we have to actually put it this way. If it is in while or repeat, then it is fine to have it with the variable name. But if it is with the for loop, we have to actually put it this way. We have to put 50 there. Okay. So now we know 4 errors. Print is exactly where it has to be. Walaikum assalam, Sadhu. Now, October, November 2015, P23. So now, total is equal to 0, that is fine. Positive count is equal to 0, that is fine. Read this section of program code that should input 50 numbers and output the average of the positive numbers only. So if the positive number, if the number that is entered is not positive, we will not count it. And then we will have to find the average out of only the with the count of the positive numbers, not the negative number. So this time it will be a little different. For counter is equal to 1 to 50, that is fine. Input a number, that is fine. If number is less than 0, then total is equal to total plus number. No, we have to find the average of the positive numbers only. So the total will be for the numbers where the number is greater than 0. All right, so line number 5 will have, if the number is greater than 0, then total is equal to total plus 1. So it has to be greater than. All right. Now, if number is greater than 0, then counter is equal to counter plus 1. We don't have to actually make counter is equal to counter plus 1 because that is already being done by the for. So what we need to change is we have to basically make it positive count. This has to be positive count because this is the count that we will use to find the average value. All right, so positive count is equal to positive count plus 1 if number is greater than 0. This is basically the third mistake. And then average has to get out. That is the fourth mistake. All right. So since it says that read the section of program code that should input 50 number, that is fine. That is going on with the 50. And then output the average of the positive numbers only. So it means we would have to total positive numbers only. And when we would have to actually count when it is a positive number only. So this positive count is used for it. So that is how it will work. Now, next question. This is question number 3 of the same year. Question number 3. It says this positive input an integer, the predefined function gives the value of division. For example, y is equal to div 10 div 3 gives value of y. So let us first discuss what is that. So let's say if it is 15, we are actually dividing it with 2. Then 2 sevens are 14. So sometimes you like to divide it and to have a question in fractions, in points and decimal. In that case, it is 15 divided by 2. That will be 7.5. Sometimes you like to have just this integer quotient. We use div for it. So that is 15 div 2, that is 7. Sometimes we like to have just this remainder. So we have mod for it. So 15 mod 2 is equal to 1. Sometimes this div and mod are used as a function. Means this might be div 15 comma 2. This might be mod 15 comma 2. They are the same. All right. So div tells about the integer quotient, mod tells about the remainder, and this slash is the full absolute division that gives you answer in decimals. ठीक हो गया? चलो अब आगे चलते हैं. What do they want us to do? X T1 T2 output and input values are 37 and 191. X T1 T2 and output. X T1 T2 and output. So what is X? They say 37 and then 191. So let's start with 37 first. So the value of X is 37. All right. Input X, done. While X is greater than 15, okay, X is greater than 15. So if the condition in true, sorry, if the condition in while is true, it will go on. So it is true. Do, okay, T1 is equal to X div 16. So X is 37 divided by 16. 2s are 32. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 is left. So this is mod and this is div. Oh, sorry, I wrote it otherwise. This is div and this is mod. Now it says that T1 is X div 16. So T1 is 2. T2 is X mod 16. So T2 is 5. Case T2 off. So we are actually taking it as just for T2, which is 5. So is it 10? No. Is it 11? No. Is it 12? No. Is it 13? No. Is it 14? No. Is it 15? No. Otherwise, output T2. So 5 will be output. End case. X is equal to T1. So X has become 2. All right. And while. And while sends you back to while. And while sends you back to while. X is greater than 15. No, it is 2 now. It is not. So we jump down to case of X. So what is X now? 2. X is 10. No. X is 11. No. X is 12. No. 13. No. 14. No. 15. No. Otherwise output X. So let's output X, which is 2. So this is your full answer. End case. Now let's start with 191. Let's start with 191. X, T1, T2, and output. Okay. Now, input X. X is 191. Okay, X is 191. While X is greater than 15, yes, X is greater than 15, do. So 191 divided by 16. So 191, 11s are 176. So we are left with 15 over here. All right. So T1 is, this is div. This is mod. All right. So now T1 is X div 16. So T1 is 11. And T2 is X mod 16. So T2 is basically 15. All right. Now, Case T2 off. So we will take 15. Is it 10? No. 11? No. 12? No. 13? No. 14? No. Yes, 15. Output F. All right. What is output? F. So basically it is actually F as a character. So we have output F. So these are all characters basically. We don't have such variables, so these are characters. So we have output F. Otherwise, no. End case, no. X is equal to T1. Now X is becoming 11. All right. X has now become 11. Now, and while sends it back to while. Okay, X is greater than 15. No, it is 11 now. So we get out. We get out where? We get out to case X off. X is 10. No. X is 11. Yes. Then output B. So let's output B. 12 no, 13 no, 14 no, 15 no, otherwise no, because it was, that's it. So this is your second tracing. All right, so we have traced a pseudocode. It's finished now. State the purpose of the pseudocode in part A. What is the purpose of this pseudocode? What is the purpose of this pseudocode? Who would tell me? The purpose of this pseudocode, as you can see, we have got what? A to F values over here. So these are basically hexadecimal values. All right. So if it is 37, you can see it is 37. Okay. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. How would you come up with 37, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37? All right. So if I like to convert it to hex, I will be actually taking it as a 1, 2, 4, 8, 1, 2, 4, or 8. So this will become 5. 4 plus 1, 5. And this will become 2. So you can see it is 5 and 2. Similarly, if I take it as 191, if I take it as 191, so this will be this will be 1, 2, 4, 8. All right. So 128 plus 63 . This is 191. Okay. So if I convert it to hexadecimal, this is F, this is B. So you can see this is F and B. So this algorithm is actually converting the Denary to hex. This is the purpose of this particular pseudocode. Now, this is another question from May-June 2016 P21. May-June 2016 P21. It says that the program will be written to store information about members of the swimming club. The following member details will be recorded. choose the suitable data type, whatever. Part 2 is the swimming club has 50 members. State the data structure that would be most suitable to use and give the reason for your choice. So arrays, all right, arrays. Why arrays? If you like to keep data for 50 members, otherwise, if we use variable, then we will have to carry several variables for each field separately. For example, we will have 50 names, 50 genders, 50 status, 50 fee, 50 team member. All right. So we have to actually have just arrays. Okay. So arrays will be the most suitable. Whenever this is a thing. This is very simple. Whenever they ask for a data structure, there is just one data structure in your syllabus. They are not going to ask for the variable, never. Whenever they ask for the data structure, that is very simple, and that data structure is arrays. Okay, so there is just one data structure in your syllabus. Whenever they ask for it, it is just that, nothing else. Okay. And the reason will always be more or less the same. Now, October, November 2016, P22, question 2. October, November 2016, P22, question 2. Now, read this section of program code that input positive numbers, discard any negative number, and then output the average. And input 0 ends the process. Okay, whenever you make an input 0, this will end the process. So total is equal to 0, fine. Counter is equal to 100. No, counter has to be 0 until or unless it is part of any extreme value, highest or lowest, fastest or slowest sort of. It cannot be other than 0. So it has to be a counter which is 0. So this was a mistake which is found and corrected. And then repeat is fine. Another repeat is fine. Input number is fine. So we have to have a number that is basically greater than 0. So as I said, in repeat, if the condition is true, system gets out of the loop. So this is getting out of the loop if the number is less than 0. No, we have to have the number which is positive. Otherwise, we have to keep input it. So it has to be the great. So this loop will go on until the number entered is greater than or equal to 0. All right. So as it says, read the section of program code that input positive number, discard any negative numbers, only negative number, not zeros, and then output the average. An input of 0 ends the process. So we have to take care of 0 as well. Now total is equal to total plus 1. Total will never be plus 1. Total will be whatever the number that is being input. Total has to be total plus number. So plus 1 is an error. So we have to put total plus number. Then counter is equal to counter plus 1. No. Counter plus number, no. It has to be counter plus 1. Alright, counter is equal to total plus number, counter is equal to counter plus 1. Until number is equal to 0. So as soon as you enter the number 0, it will get out. Then it will find the average and then print the average. That is all correct. Okay. Now, 4 errors are identified. So if you feel there is another error, don't go for it, because they have said that there are 4 errors. If they have already found 4 errors, so don't go. If you have any other consideration for errors, just don't do that. Okay, since we have already found errors here, the first error, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, we don't have to look into anything else. Now, October, November 2016. October, November 2016, P23, question 2. Read this section of program code that input 10 numbers, okay, checks whether the number is within a specified range, okay, total the number within the range and outside the range. So this is count with the condition. Okay, so in range is equal to 0, so out range has to be 0, because this is not maximum minimum, so it has to be 0. This is first error. For count is equal to 1 to 10, this is fine. Input a number, this is fine. If number is greater than 10 and number is less than 10, less than 20, so this is a range. And then in range is equal to in range plus 1. Else out range is equal to out range plus 1. Count is equal to count plus 1. This is not needed at all. This is not required, because we are already in for next loop. Okay, we are already in for next loop, so we don't have to actually put count is equal to count plus 1. Then we have next x, print in range and out range. How many errors we have found? 1, 2, 3. So how many they say? 4. Where is the fourth one? Okay. So you see, they say for count is equal to 1 to 10, and over here they say next x. So either this should be x or this should be count. Choose one. All right. So make it x. If not count, make it x. For count is equal to 1 to 10. So I would say make this count. This is the fourth error. You have to pay attention to everything. Okay, so when the for is for count, next should be for count. Next count. Decide with reasons whether the number 10 and 20 are within or outside the range. Since it says if number is greater than 10, so it means that 10 is not within the range and less than 20. So what is the range? Range is 11 to 19. This is the range. 20 is outside the range. Alright? So they both are outside the range. Outside the range. Outside the range. Range is greater than 20. Range is greater than 10. So 11 onwards. Similarly, range is less than 20. So up till 19. 20 not included. 10 not included. 20 not included. That is how you have to actually find it out. May June 2017 P21. May June 2017 P21. It says this section of program code asks for 50 numbers to be entered. The total and average of the numbers are calculated. So total is equal to 0. Counter is equal to 0. This is an error. It has to be 0. Print when prompted, enter 50 numbers one at a time. Okay, fine. Repeat. Print, enter a number. Alright. Input number. Alright. Total is equal to total plus number. Total is equal to total plus number. Total plus number is equal to total. Basically, we cannot put it this way. So in computer science, the assignment is from left to right to left. Okay, so in computer science, the assignment is from right to left. So this whole thing is actually wrong. So we have to put it this way. Total is equal to total plus number. So this is an error. All right. Okay. Now, number is equal to number plus 1. What number is equal to number plus 1? No, we have to have it. Counter is equal to counter plus 1. We have to have it as counter is equal to counter plus 1. So number is equal to number plus 1 is not the case. Counter is equal to counter plus 1 is the case. So 1 error, 2 error, 3 error. Until counter is equal to 50. Until counter is equal to 50. It is correct. Average is equal to number divided by counter, not multiply by counter. It has to be number divided by counter. This is number 4. Print the average is this. Okay, so how many errors we were to find? 4. So we have already found 4 characters. I mean errors. Now, describe the purpose of each statement in this algorithm. Okay, so what is basically happening in this algorithm is describe the purpose of each statement. We are basically what do we say? Populating. We are basically populating. So basically loop is going on for 300 times. All right. Value is input to the subsequent array location. This is what is happening. All right. And next, what it does, I count. All right. So I just solved this question for the sake that it is related to array. So as I said that we are going to uh, trace pseudocodes. We are going to discuss about pseudocode related to arrays, and we are going to find errors. So now, question number 4. It says an algorithm has been written in pseudocode to input 100 numbers and print out the sum. So count is equal to 0. Okay, sum is equal to 0. All right. Repeat. Okay. Input number. Okay. Sum is equal to sum plus number. Okay. Count is equal to count plus 1. Okay. For until count is equal to 100. So as soon as it becomes 100, since it was started with 0, this is the error. Print sum. Find the error in the pseudocode and suggest the correction. This is the only error that I believe. All right. So as soon as counting is start from 0. So as soon as it becomes 100, it is already 100 crossed. So just get out. That is the only error that I could see. So it should be count is equal to, sorry, until count is equal to 100. Rewrite the corrected algorithm in suitable loop structure. So we can write it with for count is equal to 1 to 100, input number, sum is equal to sum plus number, next count, output sum. That's it. This is the corrected version. All right. October, November 2017 P23. We have to find few errors in it. Now there are 4 errors, I believe. This section of program code asks for 80 numbers. This section of program code asks for 80 numbers between 100 and 1000. 80 numbers between 100 and 1000 to be entered. It checks that the numbers are in the correct range and stores them in an array. It counts how many of the numbers are larger than 500 and output the result when the program is finished. So it is entering 80 numbers between 100 and 1000, so there will be a range check. If it is in the range, then it checks that how many numbers were more than 500 in value. Okay, so let's start. Count is equal to for index is equal to 1 to 80. So where is next? So this has to be next. For के बाद यहाँ पर next आएगा. Next index. All right. For index is equal to 1 to 1 to 80. Input, enter a number between 100 and 1000. All right. While number is equal to 100 and number is equal to 9. While number is less than or equal to 99 or number is greater than 1000. So this would be the case. while number is less than, number has to be between 100 and 1000. 100 and 1000. So if number is less than or equal to 99 and number is greater than or number is greater than 1000. So this will keep input the value. This is a loop which we call, this is range check. This is a validation, range check validation. So while the number is less than or equal to 99 or number is greater than, it will keep asking you to input the number. As soon as number is greater than 99 and less than 1000, so it means less than or equal to 1000, this loop won't work because the number that is required is input in correct order. Number 80 is equal to number. No, it has to be number index. It has to be number index is equal to number. If number is greater than 500, then count is equal to count plus 1. All right. Print index. Print, no, not index, but print count. Print numbers were larger than. Now, let's review this fully. 1, 2, 3, and 4 errors are there. This section of program code asks for 80 numbers between 100 and 1000 to be entered. So this is basically range check. This is basically the range check. And what is the range? 100 to 1000. So range check validation is applied. So as I said, that while loop only works when the condition is true. So this is range check validation. The purpose of this loop is not to let anyone go away with a number which is not between 100 and 1000 inclusive. So if the number is less than or equal to 99 or the number is greater than 1000, it can be if the number is less than 100 or greater than 1000, that would be fine as well. So it will keep asking it. So this is the range check. Now it says that it checks that the number are in the correct range. So this is range check, and this is, it is actually validation, and stores them in an array. Now in array, what is the situation? In array, this is an array which has got so many positions in it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goes on and on and on 80 times. Why 80 times? Because there are 80 numbers which are required to be input. The name of this array is num. So this location will be called num1. This location will be called num2, and so on and so forth. This location will be called num80. So for that we will use index. So index, if it is 1, then num1 will be the number which is entered. If index is equal to 2, then num2 will be the number that is entered. And only numbers between 100 and 1000 will be entered in the array subsequent locations. Alright, that is how this loop works. And then it says that it counts how many of the numbers are larger than 500. So over here in the loop, after assigning the value to the next subsequent location in the array, it is then checking if the number is greater than 500, and it is counting it as well. So at the end, it will be outputting that count. So number 1, input and validate. Have it only between 100 and 1000. Number 2, once it is validated, get out and place that input number to the subsequent array location. Then check if the number is greater than 500, then increase the count. Once the loop is finished, get out and output how many times the number entered was greater than 500. That's it. May, June 2018, P21. May, June 2018, P21. Write an algorithm to input 1000 number. This is not relevant, so let's leave it. Part 3. The global trade item number GTIN. This is basically a program, a pseudocode that requires to be traced out. All right. This is May, June 2018, P21. So it is also using div and mod, but this time as a function. Okay. So the global trade item number GTIN8 barcode has 7 digits and a check digit. This pseudocode algorithm inputs 7 digits and calculate the 8th digit, then output the GTIN. So this is check digit. Okay. Div XY finds the number of divides in division, and okay, so we all know about it. So let's sort out this question. For count is equal to 1 to 7, so we have got an array which is called digit. It has got 8 positions. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we are not going to use it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, the name of this is digit. All right, so for count is equal to 1 to 7 input number and digit count. Okay, whatever the count is equal to number. So complete the trace table. So the first number that is entered is 5. So 5 goes to this location, then 7 goes to this location. This loop will be working for 7 times and it will be taking input and adding that input to the subsequent location of the array. So 5, 7, then 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Okay, so digit 1 is 5, then 7, then digit 3 is 0, digit 4 is 1, digit 5 is 2, digit 6 is 3, digit 7 is 4. Now sum is equal to digit 1 plus digit 3, digit 1 plus digit 3 plus digit 5 plus digit 7. So this is basically 5 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4. 5, 4, 9, 10, 11. So sum is 11. Until now it is 11. So this is 11. Multiply with 3. So this has become 33. So the sum is now 33. Then 33 plus digit 2, which is 7, digit 4, which is 1, and digit 6, which is 3. So 7, 3, 10 plus 1, 11. So 33 plus 11 becomes 44. So this sum has now finally become 44. तो हमने क्या किया है? We have added digit 1, 5, with 3, which is 0, with digit 5, which is 2, and digit 7, which is 4, that has become 11. 11 into 3 has become 33. Then digit 2, digit 4, and digit 6, that is 11. So 33 plus 11, that is 44, and all 44 value is assigned then to sum. So it is here. If sum mod 10, 44 divided by 10, so this is 40, mod is 4, div is 4 as well. So if mod sum comma 10, 4 is not equal to 0, okay, it is not equal to 0, we go inside, digit 8 is equal to div of sum with 10. Div of sum is 10 is 4. 4 into 10, it is 40. 40 plus 10 is equal to 50. 50 minus sum is basically 44. So we have got 6. So this digit 8 has become 6. This is kind of complex. All right, but you have to be very much into it. You have to do it one thing at a time and you will do it. All right, so else would not work. And if output GTIN dash 8, so we output GTIN dash 8, and then for count is equal to 1 to 8, output digit count. So we have output this, and then we start output all the digits. So what are those digits? 5, 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how much? Up to 8. So this would become 5, 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what was digit 8? 6. This is your number. I'll leave the second part to you. This is another series of test data. Do that yourself. All right. Now let's move on. You see the use of array. The array use was simple, but the algorithm itself was quite complicated. Explain how would you change the algorithm to input 8 digits, 7 digits, and the check digit, and output if the check digit is correct or not. So this you have to actually understand first that what we have done. All right. So first we will have to actually explain part B. Na explain. First we will have to loop for 8 times. First we will have to loop for 8 times. All right. Check that the input digit 8 is equal to the calculated digit 8. We will do that as well. Once we basically find the digit 8, then we will actually check it with the enter digit 8. If equal, output check digit is correct. If not equal, then the output check digit is incorrect. So let's see how. First, we will have to make a change here. We will take all 8 values input. Then we will run the same thing. We will find the check digit 8. Instead of this time check digit 8, let's call it X. And then once we get out, we will check if X is equal to digit 8 value, then output correct, all right, else output incorrect, and if. All right, so this is what check first loop, it goes on until 8, and then we will find the sum, and then we will use that sum to find the check digit, and then we check our check digit with the entered check digit and see if two are the same. That is how we will do it. Now, May June 18, P22. This pseudocode algorithm input two non-zero numbers and a sign. Two non-zero numbers and a sign. And then performs the calculations shown by that sign. An input of 0 for that first number terminates the process. Input of 0 for the first number terminates the process. So while number is not equal to 0, it goes on. And as I said earlier, that with the while loop, whatever that you input before the while, you will also input before end while. So it is there as well, very much there. So if you enter a number and you enter number 1 as 0, this loop will not work. Otherwise, this loop will work. So input number 1, number 2, and sign. If sign is equal to this, then number 1 and number 2 will be added and assigned to answer. Basically, this assignment symbol is missed out. All right. So this goes on. Let's see what we have to do. So 5, 7 plus 6, 2. 5, 7 plus 6, 2 minus 4, 3 star 7, 8 question mark 0, comma 0 slash. This is the input. So number 1, number 2, sign, answer, and output. This is what we have to do. So number 1, number 2, sign and answer and output. Okay. So first number is 5. It is then 7. Sign is plus. So let's go. Input while number 1 is not equal to 0. If sign is plus, yes it is. Then answer is equal to number 1 plus number 2 and if. So answer is this, then this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. If sign is not equal to this won't work. If answer is not equal to 0, no, answer is basically 12, then output answer. So output will be 12. That is how it will work. Then let's take the second one, 6 to minus. So 6 to minus, answer will be 4. And if it is minus, then number 1 minus number 2. If it is not, then output answer, which is basically 4. Then we have the third one, 4 3 multiply, 4 3 multiply. So this will become 12 and answer will be 12 as well. Now we have 7 8 question mark. So 7 8 question mark. So now this will work. If sign is not equal to either of these, then output answer, then answer is equal to 0. So answer is equal to 0. If answer is not equal to 0, then output answer. So since it was 0, there will be no output. All right. And then the last one is 0 0 and divide. So 0 0 and divide. This will end the loop since there will be no answer. All right. So if you calculate this with 0 division by 0, there will be nothing. That is how it will work. So I think that's about it. That's about it. That is how we actually use arrays in pseudocodes while we are tracing. That is how we are basically tracing pseudocodes with arrays, without arrays, and we are finding errors in those. So this is actually a matter of practice. अगर आप लोग जो है वो इसकी प्रैक्टिस कर लेते हैं, I don't think आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम होगा. So that's about it as far as tracing of pseudocode with arrays and finding errors in pseudocode.